turn on? You already got it? Awesome. Can I take it off? Cool. So I don't speak from a microphone often. Has everybody done this? I'll stand here. Spoken from a microphone before? It's really awkward. It's not a natural position. So my name's Matt Badgley. We're here to, we're going to do a talk about purpose. How many of you guys are managers in here, or leaders of people, I should say? Let's not use the word managers, leaders of people. If you're a team member, you're at some point in time, you're a leader. So this is why we're talking about this today. Make sure this is on. So a little bit about me. Kind of see I do long time diatribe. Give you a real quick snippet. I have a best friend wife. She's awesome. I have 4 dogs. I do drink beer and I do eat bacon. Kind of obvious. I work for version 1. I also do little things on the sides and stuff like that, so you guys feel free to reach out to me. We'll get the slides posted, or if there's any questions you have, I'd love to talk to you. Or if there's just some things you go, hey, did you know about X? Please let me know. I'd love to chat with you guys. And you can kind of see, version 1, I kind of do a lot of roles. I'm the services director, coach, consultant, and I was going to say kind of a frequent screw up. But at least I try to own them, but sometimes I don't, not too well. So what we're going to do with these cards, kind of the predecessor, what I want you guys to start writing down is we're going to do it's an exercise, which I'll explain a lot later. It'll make a lot more sense in a little bit. But I want you to kind of write down 4 or 5, 6 things, however aggressive you want to get, of things that you like to do. And it could include work stuff. It could include personal stuff. Could include spending time with family, whatever. So things you like to do. And you can kind of see how I have it written out here as kind of a title, and then if stuff to help group that together, or things that might make it explanatory. So I'll give you guys a few minutes on this. Now, any newcomers in the room? See, we have a couple here, so let me do that, hand out some stuff. So I'll give you guys a few minutes on this, so 5 minutes. Let's do 5. Cool. All right, let's. You guys can keep writing. Don't stop for me. So if you have more things and if you need more cards, let me know. We'll use these in a bit. This will make a lot more sense in just a few minutes. All right. So what stuff we like to do? All right. So first off, I like. If you don't like, so I don't watch a lot of television. There's 2 shows I watch: American Pickers, and of course Big Bang Theory. So we're going to start out with some Physics 101. So there's an equation out there. Who's familiar with this one? Work equals force times distance. It's 101. This is like the first formula we'll learn. So when you look at this, you go, hey, well, what the heck is this guy showing us this? Well, I like to try to translate this into like what we talk about from a business sense, right? So or getting stuff done by teams. So we changed the first word to outcome because we measure outcomes, right? We don't focus on. Matter of fact, I was at another Agile Day Atlanta. We just had a conference there, and a guy talked, and he said, hey, how can we measure the performance, the output of my team? And one of the speakers kind of just lost it and said, dude, you don't measure performance and output, you measure outcomes. And he's like, oh, I forgot about that part. But we measure outcomes. We focus there. So if we force times distance, we change that and set effort. Same thing. At least we're trying to express the same thing. It's how much effort we put into something. To try to drive our output. And of course, the word we often use is scope. What's the project scope? So if we use that formula, kind of, hey, maybe that's a direct correlation. Maybe. If the scope's right? That's the problem. Because there's going to be waste. So either getting the problem right, either build the right thing, build it the right way, build it where people like it and want to buy it, want to do something with it, it saves us the money we think we're going to do. So if we do this formula, effort times scope times waste, so if it's 100% effort, get 100% of the scope done, we have 20% waste, about 80% of the outcome, right? Something like that. So, and you can play with this formula in many different ways and start looking at stuff. And again, you're probably still thinking, why the heck does this have anything to do with purpose? So, well, I look at things, there's, have you guys read Peter Lencioni's 5 Dysfunctions of the Team? Great book, really quick read. If you're not a reader, it's a fast read. He has another one that they came out with not long ago called The Ideal Team Player. And in there, he talked about 3 virtues that they use at tabletop group that they coach folks on. And it's the no jackass rule, as they call it. So basically, no jackasses, it means hungry, humble, and people smart. So you want people that come in the door that are people smart, can read other people and tell that, hey, look, I just said something that set you off. Can we figure this out? Can we work together? They're humble. They know they mess up. They own up to it. They don't take credit for other people's work. They give the team credit. Those things. And, of course, hungry, which we'll touch on here in a second. I added 2 others because there's another really great book out there. It's called Resolutions. There are 13 Resolutions of Life. It's by a guy named Orrin Woodward. And it's more of a leadership book. And he points out these other things, honorable and honeable. So meaning that, you do stuff with integrity, right? Which you can probably feed that a little bit into to humility, but we're telling the truth on stuff. And honeable meaning that I can take criticism, I can take feedback, I can take coaching. So you add these together, and it makes a pretty darn solid team player. And if you look at this list, humble is something that's kind of people form out. You can mold them a little bit. Try to let them know, hey, look, that you're probably the most arrogant guy on our team. What can we do to calm this down? I mean, I have a team member that I do this with now. And just try to coach them through. Say, hey, dude, that really set some people off. That's kind of the people smart too. But you can coach that some. Honeable, hopefully we can coach it a little bit. Generally, most people want to learn. We hire people. Honorable, again, you just teach people not to be scared. That's the fear stuff, right, usually. And people smart, again, trainable. The last one, though, is hungry, we can actually really shape. And this is where purpose comes to play. So if we look at that back at that formula, we have outcome and time. Scope, if our scope looks like this, this is our work over time, and we've kind of seen these curves before. It's the same, it's the typical kind of outcome curve. And we want to really reach that. What you got to have is the hungry side. You got to have people willing to sometimes. So I'm an Agile coach, and people I work with teams all the time. Who in here is kind of doing Agile or waterfall or traditional or something like that, right? And people say, hey, look, I can't change the way we're kind of working things. And sometimes, at the end of the day, those projects are successful, and sometimes it's just through brute force. That hungry stack's a little higher. The different ways we get feedback and how we do it. So hungry is probably one of the most important things, and that's one thing we can shape. So, and we do that, again, and just to kind of play this on, this is all about engagement. This is all about getting people who really want to, and I, have this, variously defined as involvement, commitment, passion, enthusiasm, focused effort, and energy, and I like to say, give a damn. They're there for a reason, and they want to achieve with the team and make something happen. So people are engaged. They're typically hungry. And I just updated these yesterday because they've come. Anybody go out to Gallup.com? Anybody done like Strength Finders? They're a research organization primarily, and they help organizations kind of shape their cultures and teams and stuff like that. They do an engagement survey monthly to try to learn how they ask various questions. There's about 18 different questions to see how much people really care about being in the workplace. So today, 31.7% of the workforce is in it. They're engaged. And so you might have guessed it, 51% not engaged, and 16.7%, again, I updated these. By the way, they go up and down just a little bit. They haven't changed a lot in years. But they have been going up. That's a good sign. So they have been trending upward over a long period of time. But the last one hasn't. 16.7% of the people are just actively in the office going, I don't want to be here right now. Tough world. Hey, thank you. So when you go back to the office, you got to look next to you and say, look to the 2 people next to you and ask which one of us is that 16 or the person not engaged. Because that's 30%, only 30% is engaged. So you got to look next to each other and figure out. And honestly, it probably switches day by day, right? You've asked somebody one day, they're having a good day, I'm in it, I'm working on something I care about. To those days, I don't really, I don't want to be here. This is bad. So it's important. Why is it important? Apathy, right? So who's ever been or heard the thing, I'm doing this because I was told to do it? Who's ever said it? I mean, I think we've all said it at one point in time. So I was working with a client. We were doing some story writing, just basically story writing 101. They've been doing it for years. And they said, we've never been trained on just writing stories. Could you give us some techniques and some basics? I'm like, yeah, let's do that. We start talking, and we're going through the 3 C's, the card, conversation, and confirmation, and the 3 parts, the user, the feature, and the why. And they go, and I start talking about the why. I said, and the why is like probably the most meaty part, because that, if I know the why, then as a developer or a tester, I can really get to the what it means for it to be done, for somebody to be happy. And they're like, and I hear this voice like, we don't care. And it's from like this girl on the phone, and she's like, we're just doing what we're told. And it was really angry. And then actually that was her voice. It was really like, and I'm like, wow, I'm sorry, I didn't know anybody was on the phone. And then literally the whole room flipped, and they all, yeah. Who really cares about this? We're just, all we do is we get handed requirement specs, and we just got to do this. And I'm like, well, you don't ever question, how are people going to use this thing or anything like that? You don't question, what's it mean for a person to really be successful with it? Because you can write software and make it work, but is it workable? Is it stuff that people like? Nah, we're just going to do what we're told to do. And honestly, it's just gotten worse there. So I've gone back, and it's like the workforce is turning over. So it's a bad place. Not fun. Problem solving. Another great book, Creativity Inc. Has anybody read that one? It's a really good book. He talks about Story Day. And what Story Day is at Pixar is a day when people pretty much get together, and any problem they want to solve, anything that they just don't like, they all work together. It's out in the open. It's very transparent. And they work together to get stuff done, and they set goals ahead of time. To give you an example, the example I loved on this is Pixar was taking anywhere from 2 to 4 years to make a movie. And somebody set down the gauntlet and says that, and the financial problems with that is huge, right? So can we do it in 18 months? And all of a sudden, somebody else posted the next challenge, can we do it in 12 months? And that's what they sat down in a room to try to solve. What are the problems that are keeping us from doing that? So without engagement, you don't get that kind of thing. People don't care. They don't get that. And always have to, if you work in any shop that's trying to practice Agile, why is when you do an Agile transformation, the first thing they do is they install a ping pong table? So it's like, all right. And I love how this is like right in the middle of the workplace. So it's like, hey, that girl's gonna get whacked in the head any minute now. But you get what I'm saying. The idea is make it an environment that there's the caves and commons type techniques. Is make an environment where people can work together, can also hide if they need to, but can be provide a world that it's fulfilling to be in, that you enjoy where you're at. And by the way, open spaces isn't where everyone enjoys to be. So sometimes, like I said, you provide the caves. People need caves too. Some of the stats. So if anything you walk away from today is you have some stats. Again, this is from Gallup's recent stuff, their state of the American workforce. But what they found is that people that with highly engaged workforces, there's 40% fewer defects, 70% fewer safety incidents, which to us maybe not that big a deal, but if you work in a manufacturing world, that's a pretty big deal. So those things can cost a lot. Shrinkage or waste. The turnover number is pretty significant. And then, of course, absenteeism. People who just like go AWOL. And I've had a couple of those, unfortunately. Doesn't say much about me. So engagement matters. Hopefully you guys get that. So, and last thing, yeah. So, people with the highest engagement, 3x higher operating margin. So they make those folks with the highest level of engagement can, if you're in the business of making software or making products that people buy, 3 times higher. So again, pretty important investment. So anybody ever seen this dude? Probably not, but he was in the news about 3 or 4 years ago. So Fabio Savagini, he's a guy from Cesana, Italy. Young, actually university professor type worker. He worked in the university. He also was an entrepreneur, under 30 at the time. In Italy, those folks under 30 at the time of this was around 2014. The unemployment rate was upwards to 60%. So not a good place to be if you're a young person and trying to look for work. So again, he was an entrepreneur, and all of his friends are kind of just doing like just enough to get by, living with tons of people in a house, and everyone was kind of down. So he's like, man, we got to do something. And again, his entrepreneur spirit, he wanted to learn about Kickstarter projects. He started learning about those things and hearing about those things. I want to learn about that. So him and his friends, one day he's like, hey, man, let's just change this. Let's put on a concert, because he liked music and stuff like that. Let's put on a concert. And we got to get some big bands here. How are we going to get some big bands? And so and Fabio, one of Fabio's favorite band was the Foo Fighters. So hence the Learning to Fly guys. So it was the Foo Fighters. So he's like, man, we need to convince these guys. They just came on their European tour, and of course they went right on by us, didn't even stop to say hello. We need to get these guys come in and do a concert. And they were literally watching the School of Rock, like the extended DVD cut thing, at the end where they have the extras. And they were watching a Jack Black interview and the producer interview, and they were talking about getting permission to play the Led Zeppelin songs, because there's 8 Led Zeppelin songs in School of Rock. And they're trying to get permission, and they wouldn't respond. The producers weren't getting any response to get permission to do it. And so what they did, they took the video of the kids and sent it off to the pretty much the licensees, and they said, yeah, you can use our songs. That's awesome. So he's like, that's it. We're going to play a concert ourselves and invite them to come play. So raise some money, pull together tons of musicians, and this is kind of the output. All right. Totally awesome video, by the way, if you ever want to see something totally amazing. 1,000 musicians got together for 2 days. They practiced one day. They played this. This was their second cut to make the video, and kind of nailed it. It's amazing to watch. And when they interviewed Fabio, he was like, hey, why'd you do this? He's like, man, I just wanted to bring people together, make something better. And then, a little bit greedily, I wanted to learn about how to be an entrepreneur and use the Kickstarter. I'm like, that's pretty damn good. And he ended up, so if you see this field, by the way, this used to be a kind of a dead park. So the money he raised was around 50,000 euros, was to clear off the land, clean it up, bring in bathrooms, bring in water and food, and of course help, bring in some areas where people can camp out and stuff like that. So, and of course all the scaffolding and stuff. It's quite kind of amazing. Individual persons make a difference. And of course, the results was like, and this is literally like a day and a half later after it got posted. Dave Grohl got on there and he spoke in Italian, very bad Italian, I would say, but absolutely. And of course, they have had a concert. And what Fabio's went on to do in the last few years is he's put on a big concert, bringing everybody together in a stadium, again using Kickstarter to raise all the funds for it. So kind of amazing. So just a little bit of purpose. So, purpose, Silicon Valley. Anybody watch it? SOMO-LO. Anybody know what SOMO-LO stands for? Social, mobile, local. Some people are low-mo-so. Whatever you want to call it. But anyways, if you haven't read Jeff, there's another girl, Jeff Patton's story mapping. Anybody do story mapping? So he finally came out with a book. He said, all my friends were bugging me. And throughout the book, he keeps reiterating, hey, if your job's a product owner, your job's to change the world. When you write stories, you should be thinking, how am I going to change the life of somebody? Change the world. And that's what they were kind of after here when they talk about the purpose of organizations. So I kind of came up with this definition myself. It's what brings meaning to things we do. It's the why. It's the connective tissue between mission, vision, and our strategy, goals, words, policies, actions, things we do. It's the connective tissue. It's basically it's why we're doing the things we're doing. And of course, it's 42. There's multiple layers of purpose. There's societal. So at the very top, why we get stuff done. This is how we bring ourselves together. So that if you look at the environmental movements and stuff like that. So this is I'm trying to remember the term. I'm losing it. anyways, it's basically shared consciousness. It's the idea that organizations take ownership of how they're going to, and they do it themselves and bring local work. And Nestle has this, there's an article link here. Nestle basically did two things. One is they started working on localized farmers throughout the world to try to, one, clean up water sources, make better quality things happen locally. But then they also made the commitment that every one of their manufacturing facilities would produce zero landfill waste. And they've achieved that at like 17 of their facilities. Just by focusing on societal purpose. Of course, the Golden Circle, Simon Sinek's The Why, the big question of why. Again, another great book, but understanding why, transforming the statement and said, we just make great computers to, we make products that help people come up with great ideas. Those kind of statements. So, version 1, I work for version 1. We have a why statement. You can kind of see we believe in better software experience for everyone. We believe the practices and values of Agile and Lean serve the foundation of improvement for software delivery and excellence. And I added the last one because we don't do anything without having a little fun. Even if we fight, we usually walk off and say, okay, let's go hit the keg because it's not worth it. So why is important at the organization level? The team level, it's the central theme of the team. And I listed here sprint goals. Hey man, why are we even doing this sprint? If we're doing iterations, if you're not using sprint goals, that of course gets us focused, right? Same thing, purpose of why we're the team. Team norms, team working agreements, the name, the space. I like to do gamification stuff, so theming our space and having fun together and finding something that actually helps bond us and drives us together to get something done. It's all important. It's that the 2 happiness drugs, there's 4 happiness chemicals in our body, but 2 of the primary ones that we do with the teams, of course, serotonin, which is, of course, if you don't have enough of this, you're depressed, which is sad. So have a happy team, work together. And oxytocin, of course, is the sense when we achieve something together, it makes a big difference, right? It makes us happy. So purpose helps us get to these things. And, of course, personal stuff. And I usually get yelled at with this slide. Because talking about generational, and people go, that's just stereotyping. I'm like, but it's true. Generational stuff is different. If you, so within Dan Pink's book, he talks about purpose, and it's generational in the sense that, as you get older and you near your sense in mortality, you start asking the questions like, what the heck did I do my whole life? Why was I here? So as you get older, the boomers and stuff like that, they're doing that now. My mother, who retired she's finally retired at 72, and what she's been doing the last 5 years is making quilts for cancer patients. And she's made over 100 every year for the last 5 years. So, and she's just driven to do that. I'm like, wow, you haven't shown this much energy in anything besides your garden in a long, long, long time. Totally loves it. It drives her. Of course, millennials, I'm looking around the room. We have a few, I think, in here. Generally, there's studies out there, Deloitte does the biggest one, that talks about they'll just walk out the door if they're not connected to your company. Is there no reason for me to be here and get this stuff done? It's just not worth it for me to be here. I want to go find something that's going to make a difference. I'm part of Gen X. And honestly, at Gen X, I think it's tough. We're just hardworking and driven, but we don't really know why. And you have to connect to your why. It's a harder generation. We're kind of between those two. So purpose is important. You've heard about Motivation 3.0, hopefully. If you haven't seen this video too, this is that driven for drive. How does motivation drive us? But it helps us people to connect to something, give us a vision to go after something, purpose. It helps drive distributed decision making. If you don't understand, again, sprint goals that's a very easy example to frame up and to look at and say, if we have a very clear sprint goal, it's easy for us to decide in the middle of the sprint, something went wrong. Okay, well, how's it going to impact that? Can I change that? It also, if you start, pretty much all the scaling, who's trying to do any of the scaling frameworks? Safe, less, dad. If you're trying to do any of those, they all talk about this. You have to give people the vision. They have to have the purpose. They have to understand why the heck they're doing it. And we have to give them the ability to make the decisions based off that. Don't expect you guys to read all this, But systems thinking, and somebody goes, why the heck does purpose have anything to do with systems thinking? It's kind of the same thing as the previous. If you understand purpose, you start thinking through achieving it. You start planning things and how you can start thinking in longer term purposes. So as well as you start getting rooted in some of the ideas and mindsets, if you, another, again, real good book, Charles Duhigg, I mentioned down here, Power of Habit. He tells a story, if you remember Alcoa aluminum, and God, sorry, I'm losing the name. I think Paul O'Neill was the CEO. And he got tired in. He's been with the government for a long time. He got brought in as a CEO, kind of like this situation where you had a podium. And usually when a new CEO comes in, they get introduced, and they're at the podium, and they talk about how they're going to raise the share prices, we're going to cut costs, we're going to become more efficient, and that's the message, right? Because Alcoa was in a pretty bad place. He got up in front of the room and said, safety. And he started going down the stats of Alcoa's, like, we actually had, people that had fatal accidents in the last 5 years. We've had this many lost time accidents. We're going to become the safest company in the world. And he made safety the central theme. Now, that was kind of his purpose. The underlying purpose is if he got up in the front of the room and said, I want to help drive collaboration and communication and start pushing decision-making down to the plants so they can go ahead and make better decisions around making their plants more efficient, upgrades, where to spend money, and also how to optimize their outputs at the localized level. Everybody went like, what? What does that mean? So he got up in the world, again, freaked everybody out, safety, but it worked. And at the end of the day, the story that Charles talks about is this one director, divisional director, who got so driven on understanding and looking out for things that could be more optimal from a safety perspective. He's driving down the road with his kids and his family, pulls up to a stop sign, looks to his left, and he sees some guys in a ditch without the trench guards. He stops. He gets them out of there, calls for the supervisor. And they're like, what the heck are you doing? He's like, man, you realize what kind of liability, and you put these guys at risk. You're not respecting your people. You got to change that. And he's like, I would have never done that if I didn't have this mindset of people first. Think about how to optimize and make sure that if we put the people on a pedestal, things will come out better. So systems thinking, get the purpose out there. Last one is stick-to-itivity. If you haven't heard that term, it's a Walt Disney term. It's kind of like grit. It's the, down at the personal level. If we have a good, strong purpose, we're typically not going to stop. It's the, Jim Carrey writing himself a check for $10 million to motivate himself that my purpose is to become the highest paid actor in Hollywood. And he wrote himself a check. And that's what drove him. Sounds very greedy, but whatever. That was his purpose, become the highest paid actor in Hollywood. So stick to it, grit, it's important. Like I said, if you don't walk away with anything but more stats, 3 times more likely to stay, 1.7 times more, higher job satisfaction, and 1.4 higher engagement. So big deal. You guys get it? Purpose matters, hopefully? Yeah, maybe? Oh yeah, by the way, if you have a sense of purpose in your life, you might live longer. So study they did, this was more around heart and stress, and what they ended up finding out is through the interviews and psychological interviews, that those people that were still around as part of this study, that those folks that weren't, when they did original interviews, they didn't have any really sense of purpose. They kind of just went through their life from day to day. Those folks that did, they lived 20% longer. Pretty good deal. So live longer. So we're going to do something now. So before I move, any questions? Any thoughts? All right. So let's do this real quick. So this is what we're going to do. So I want you guys with the cards. This might take a minute or two. And you can do it on all if you want. Draw just a square, a circle, and a triangle on the cards in the lower right-hand corner. Or anywhere on the card. I don't really care. There's no rules. Wherever you want to on the card. But looks like we're almost there. All right, so there's these 3 P's of purpose. Now this came from the same guy, Orrin Woodward's partner, Chris Brady. So let's go through these 3 P's. So the first one's passion. Passion, of course, is kind of like our own things we really, really care about. These are things that that make a difference. When we do it, we're happy. Whether it could be something spending time with your family, could be when you go to work and you get something done, you're willing to kind of go the extra mile. There is kind of a rule. Anders Bergersen did the studies on, if you guys ever heard, you guys all heard outliers and stuff, the 1,000 or 10,000 hours to be masters. Well, he's actually the one that did the studies on that for violinists. And he comes out and he basically says, hey, look, that wasn't true, or not 100%. But he did say, hey, look, what I found was those people with passion and with boundaries, they had a sense of purpose. Boundaries meaning they put guardrails around the passion so it didn't take them off the street, So, and I told the story and somebody goes, well, Mark Cuban doesn't have those sometimes. I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. But he does have a lot of passion and he does care about what he does, right? So here's what I want you guys to do. With your cards, I want you to score. I have like Fibonacci sequence. I don't care what you use. You can just use 1 through 10. But I want you to score for those cards you wrote down. What are the things that you're passionate about? So easiest way to do this is look through your cards and find the one you're least passionate about. Give it a 1. And then kind of just do your, when you do story sizing, relative sizing. So.
We have to have different numbers in each one.
Huh?
We have to have different.
No, you can have them. They can be the same thing. So if you're just equally passionate about something or equally not passionate about something, that's absolutely fine. Okay. Keep going. You don't have to stop if you still have some more. I'm going to go to the next one here, next P. So potential. So potential is kind of, I'll define it this way, is those things that you do, you might do often, and there's probably still a lot left in the learning to do. Areas where, you're pretty good at it, and you can probably get even better. So of the things you like to do, what are those things that you kind of say, if I spent really focused on this, I have some pretty good potential. So do the same thing. We're going to do the same scoring exercise around potential. So put that in the circle. So what are those things that you, in your list, that you can, if you really focused on, you can become that 10,000 hour master. All right. What do you guys think the last P is? Any guesses? No? Rhymes with offit. Profit, yeah. So profit. So this is basically looking at those things that we do. So I'll give you a really good example. So working for version 1, I'm also one that I do some technical stuff. I like to sling code still. And I write reports sometimes, using our API and stuff like that. And I do like to sling code, but I really hate making reports because they're usually really silly reports. So I'm pretty good at it, have a little potential, but I don't like doing it. But I can probably make some money doing it if I wanted to do it for a living. And I say make money, or impact the society, make a big impact. Whether or not like my mom donating her time. And so do the same thing, and score for profit. Score some of your cards for profit. How are we doing? Now the hard part. Anybody guess what the hard part is? You're adding it up. So add them up. Now, if you really want to make it hard and you do want to make it more exponential, you multiply these things together. But I'm not going to make you do that. Just add them up. It's actually more meaningful sometimes when you multiply them. But add it up. And when you add it up, go ahead and you'll come up with some type of score and rank them based off that score. I'll put it up here. So this is called a $2 summary. It's this stupid little good. This is a great retrospective thing. If you've ever done that before, make people write a $2 summary, which basically means you have 10 cents per word. So 20 words or less. Write a summary based off your top ranked items. Doesn't have to be everything. But if you look through your cards, if you can summarize those in 20 words or less, especially the top ones. All right, any volunteers? Anybody? Awesome. By the way, he gets a gift card. If I told you that, and it would have made it easier. Hey. Awesome, Eric. You mind reading yours out?
No, and I did not realize this apparently, but I invest in my work, my kids, and playing poker. The interactions with people are the key.
Very cool.
So that's something that I've learned from this exercise.
Playing poker too, you can make a killing on that. I met a lady on the flight coming up here, guys, by the way. This little lady, her and her husband went to Cherokee casinos in North Carolina. And she said that they just about left. They lost everything pretty much. They brought like a few $100s with them. And she literally said, honey, I'm taking the last $100. He's like, what? Put the $100 in. They got $10,000 in one of the slots. They stayed till 5 a.m. in the morning. $28,000 by the time they left. She had been like 70 years old. I'm like, what the heck? You're 70 years old up till 5 a.m. in the morning. It's like awesome. I wouldn't be up till 5 a.m. in the morning. All right, anybody else? Want to share anything that you maybe anybody have anything that they learned or that might change their opinion about something?
I'll share.
Awesome. Let's step up, man. Sorry.
Yeah, this one didn't actually surprise me. Mine says, I like to discover opportunities to improve processes for both work and life so we can enjoy life.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, somebody in my office was talking about that kind of thing, the process thing. And she literally, everybody call her the process police. Sorry, I keep moving. The process police. And we give her a hard time constantly. And then finally, we kind of did this exercise. I practiced this at the office, and she's like, what I kind of learned is that the reason why I'm driven by the process is I'm just trying to make people's lives easier. And I'm like, how do you translate that? So, anybody else? Awesome. We have time for one more.
My top one is I like to socialize, and basically when you socialize, you have different kind of interaction with different people, friends, family, or colleagues, and I end up learning a lot because everyone has something unique to share. So, yeah, it's a lot of good things.
A lot of learning, yeah. So, so I have given this, luckily I've given this talk a couple times before, and I've had people follow up with me. So I've had one person in my office who's no longer in my office. She's in LA now, and she wanted to pursue a career in PR, and she went out there and basically started working with a search engine organization. So I'm like, hey, that's awesome, because it was very similar to your social thing. The other one, which was totally obscure, a gal emailed me and said, hey, thanks, that was really cool, because she read hers out. I said, man, you should go after that. That's pretty cool. She became she's part-time doing it, but a kayak instructor up at Nantahala. She liked to kayak. And so she finally approached him. I said, you should talk to him. And so we were chatting back and forth. And she finally approached him and said, hey, can I become a part-time volunteer? And they said, well, we can hire you. You come here all the time. So yeah. So a way to pursue your different changes, and you might find something out. So there's this. If you haven't seen this before, this is an inscription on in an abbey of Anglican bishop, and you can kind of read the words. But I'll just paraphrase the story. It's basically, when you die, you always want to change the world. And, but as you get older, you get more wise. You start realizing you can't really change the whole world. And you started learning that if I focused my energy, if I try to change my local community, it'd be really hard. I start changing even down closer, the people, the parishioners that come to my church, might be able to make an impact. But if I would have started with my family and myself, I probably could have made a big, huge impact in the world. So start small. Recognizing that start small matters. Share with you guys, and I have a couple more things so you guys don't walk away here. I will let you know. So mine is basically, I believe in working with teams to help them get better, learn, and be successful in building stuff. I like building things, you can tell. I'm not necessarily a theoretical coach. I like to get in there and actually just build something. So that's mine. I have a ton of references in here, guys, that of all these things I've been spitting out at you guys that you can go into. I wanted to share this with you. So this is all built off the hedgehog concept If you haven't heard of that, that's Good to Great, Jim Collins' book. He kind of made popular. It's a transformed version of this, and what you can do with your teams. So if you like to use this kind of, you just simply draw these up on your whiteboard. I've done this with multiple teams quite often to help them understand their team norms and gets kind of, it's a good team building exercise to try to coalesce on who are different skills and things. So get teams to go ahead and you just have them brainstorm. Say, hey, okay, I'm going to draw a circle up here. Okay, everybody do stickies. What are the things that you have potential at, and they fill up potential. Okay, let's do the profit, or actually I usually go passion. Let's do passion, and then let's do stuff we can make money on and how it impacts that. And then we start saying, okay, let's start stack ranking them, and those things that move closer together to help us together to find a purpose. So you actually have like this little understanding. So it's a really good little technique. It's really helpful. If anything, it helps your team build come away. And then there's always the great Tom Izzo's. This is another great way to get to this. So he does this with all of his players. I know it's not a very popular place, Michigan State here. So his players that come in, he has them write down their 5 wildly selfish goals, which means it's not about anybody else. These are all things about you. It's not about your family. It's not about the team. It's about you. And what are those things? Write them down. Put them on a card. You're sharing them with whoever's the team lead. And I want to help make those successful, because if the individual's not following their purpose, they can't help the team. So that's it, guys. I want to, again, say thank you, guys. If there's questions, we have a few minutes. Awesome. Well, thank you, guys. Thanks for coming. Thanks for your time.